Here in America, the freedom of speech is very important to us. We have a very long history of fighting for this freedom, and most people believe it is a natural right and there should be little to no limits to it.
This is America.
If it's beneficial, I think they should be able to say whatever they want as long as it's not hurting anyone else.
Freedom of speech is good.
So you think it's very important to you?
Yeah. I think that freedom of speech is a good thing. It's good for people to have that.
Do you think there should be any limits?
No, because that's unconstitutional.
But not just in the United States, in any country. With our
No,
Constitution.
because people should have the right to say what they want to say and express themselves.
Freedom of speech is probably the most important thing, actually. It's number one in the Constitution, in the Bill of Rights, and it's number one in my heart. Limits of freedom of speech are only when it directly endangers people.
Yes, freedom of speech is very important. It's one of the best things that we have in the United States. I think that we need to be mindful of our audience and use respectful language even if we're speaking in opposition.
Yeah, the freedom of speech is important.
Yeah.
Do you think there should be any limits to the freedom of speech?
To some extent, yeah, in public places.
Hurting other people.
Yeah, it's basically, as long as society has free speech, then any political change is possible. The electorate can inform themselves about issues and they can discuss it. So any limitation on free speech is not only about people not being able to be informed, but it also means that they're going to be unable to have any sort of political movement or political change. The Supreme Court has basically ruled that speech which crosses the line into action, which I am advocating the shedding fire in youth, in which certain kinds of speech promote violence and do not allow for any kind of negotiation or discussion. Those kinds of speech can be regulated. You can't release top secret information, so basically national security and those sorts of things makes sense at the time. Beyond that, I don't really think there should be any. Obviously, certain kinds of speech need to be contested. People who use slurs, ethnic and racial and homosexual slurs, I think that sort of stuff should be battled against, and people should be educated about what those words mean and why they're harmful. But I don't think the government should step in and ban them outright.
Though many people support the freedom of speech, there is still opposition to it in America and around the world. This opposition is often due to religious issues. There are even issues about the separation of religion and the state here in America, though most believe that religion and law should be separate and that the government should have no real say in what you believe. But
Yeah, I think that's okay because sometimes religion has good principles for people to live by. No way. It should be totally separate entities.
Religion should have nothing to do with the law. There should be a separation between church and state.
do you think that religion should be part of the law?
Yes, I think there should be some accountability in some form besides just the state.
I don't believe religion should be part of the law. Unless everyone's the same religion, which it's not for anybody.
So you can't stop religion from affecting it. What you need to do is make sure that the law is neutral as far as different religious beliefs as much as possible.
Yeah, the government should have no say at all. In my personal beliefs, I don't see how they could have a say in my personal beliefs if you try to manipulate them. But at some point I think it's necessary for them to manipulate personal beliefs if they contradicted what was necessary in society. I don't think nowadays this is.
No. Government should not.
No, it shouldn't.
While we might have separation of church and state here, it is not always the same in all other countries. Countries like Poland even have laws prohibiting anti-religious speech, though not many people here know much about Poland or their laws. What do you know about Poland?
Not much.
Do you know that in Poland, insulting people's religious beliefs is illegal? Do you know about anything about Poland?
Yeah.
What do you know about Poland?
They had concentration camps there.
Okay. Do you know that in Poland, insulting people's religious beliefs is illegal?
I did not know that until now.
About Poland?
Yeah.
Apparently it was taken by the Soviets and then the Germans, then World War II started.
Okay, so not too much. Do you know that in Poland, insulting people's religious beliefs is illegal?
Really? Okay.
I know it's kind of a country. There's a law against insulting people's religion.
Yeah.
That doesn't make much sense. They don't believe in freedom of speech, I guess.
Poland as an ex-communist state is having this problem of how are they going to consolidate their democracy? How are they going to maintain their democratic society and establish the functioning, not just the structures of democracy, but the actual content of democracy. And the problem with Poland, like other ex-communist states, is that they slide back towards authoritarianism. And so the danger here is that they've basically taken the ideals of the communist state, which is questioning the authority figures as a crime, and transferred it from a secular institution, the state, to this religious one, the church.